everybody. It's Sunday afternoon. It's football day. I got my man together for the NFC West. We got JT and Bo. How we doing, gentlemen?
Doing good, doing good.
Happy
Great.
Sunday. Happy Sunday for you boys. Happy Sunday. What a big game we've got to talk about in the NFC West between high-flying Cardinals and on the up Seahawks, Bo. Are we thinking you've got your kind of the wings back?
Crazy.
Yeah. Let's not take it too
I would
far.
flip that around. I would say the Seahawks are more high flying. What are you guys, second in the league in passing? Yards per game, Geno's number one, right? Up
Yeah.
there with Burrow and Lamar Jackson and Cousins, and he's right there. And I think he's fourth in the league in total yards passing. So what a great season. Those 11 interceptions aren't doing him well, but
Those are not helping them. But I mean, and as shown, doing it with his legs when needed as well. So, it's starting to. I mean, it's the NFC West, right? Where do we start? Obviously last week, Bo, do you want to take this? Because it's still too painful for me for those last 90 seconds.
It was a good game.
It was a good game. It was a typical NFC. It was a typical NFC West game, right? It was two teams that just kind of nullified each other out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing was you saw that team change when Bosa went out.
Oh,
when
such
Bosa went down,
a massive difference.
Yeah, it was turning off a light switch. It just was.
I think
not
you guys had scored 3 points at that point, or
Yeah.
or two. Yeah, you don't. Yeah, so you hadn't scored anything, and then Bosa went down after the second sack. I think he got, and then you got the worry for us is it shouldn't take just one guy to completely
Right.
derail a whole defense. I mean,
Christian
we
McCaffrey.
have put a lot of emphasis on our D line since Shanahan and Lynch came on board. It's where they've drafted highest, is where they've put free agency money in and everything else. And then suddenly one guy goes out and the rest of them just fade or just forget how to. And what got me towards the end was they were getting pressure, but they were just getting straight up pressure. They were not keeping the discipline of the rush lanes and everything, and so that's why Geno started to find some space, because they were just over pursuing, and it was painful to watch towards the end. But it is surprising that as soon as he went out, it was like chalk and cheese.
Yeah, no, it was definitely interesting the way that it became very undisciplined. Right. Now again, great, but
yeah.
But no, I mean,
from a Seahawks fan perspective, bring it on. But from a football sort of general way, it's discussions needed there. Yeah.
No, like they started playing really bad football, and again, from a Hawks fan, awesome. But yeah, watching it from a football perspective, you have to wonder why all of a sudden they were giving up outside contain, right? Like they weren't shedding their block in a way that contained Geno, and our offensive line is terrible, right? Like everybody's beat up on our offensive line. So the fact that you guys
you had a
rest the game was weird.
You had a reserve center in 2 days before, knew who he was playing, and yet we didn't get much pressure up the middle. And as you say, the discipline outside just seemed to I don't know, it was like a light switch. It literally, they just stopped. They just stopped doing what they were doing before, and it's really quite worrying. I mean, the offense itself was disjointed, wasn't really firing. We managed to score points, but much like you got, only through Brock Purdy's legs and stuff like that. It was a weird game from a Niners perspective. What was weird is, where was Jordan Mason? I think he had 2 snaps and he went for 16 yards or something, whereas McCaffrey was going for 2 yards max or something. Last time we played the Seahawks, Jordan Mason got, I think, on out near enough 8 yards a carry or something. He literally gashed you guys, and he gets 2 snaps, and McCaffrey gets overworked with little to no sort of. Yeah, he got yards because just for sheer weight of numbers, but he certainly wasn't doing what. And it was.
I will give the Hawks defense a lot of credit in this game.
Yeah,
is they schemed for it very well, because they have been getting destroyed in the run game, and you could tell there was an emphasis on it. They were basically saying Purdy has to beat us.
Yeah.
Right. And when you look at the rest of the season, and you don't even have to call out any game, you can look at literally every other game this season. I mean, they've been giving up almost 200 yards rushing almost every game. So it was good to see them tighten up in the middle. I don't know if that's something that, is realistic moving forward, because I think, it'll be easy to figure that out. But
yeah,
at the same time, they hadn't done it all year. And so it did work. It was nice to see guys were actually tackling.
Yep.
So,
That's essential.
hey,
there was not a lot of missed tackles this game. Yeah, you kind of be sure.
I mean, there were some, but it wasn't like there has been through the season. And then give credit to our running backs that actually created a lot of missed tackles. You guys missed quite a few where you had them bottled up and they were able to actually get out, get some yards. Something we've also struggled to do because of offensive line play. So there was a lot of things that started to work in that game. The problem is it was one game. So you don't really know if it was an outlier or, you guys just distracted by the amount of players that went down or, whatever. Or is this something that, hey, maybe we found something that we can tweak and get our guys that may not be the highest ranked elements to play a little bit better? Because like you mentioned with the center having 2 days notice, we also had Abraham Lucas coming back for his at left tackle, not playing a game all season.
His first game, yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like going into this, we're like, oh, the offensive line is going to be awesome.
I mean, as you say, you went into this like this, didn't you? Your eyes, covering your eyes, thinking it was going to be bad. And
I actually picked you guys.
Yeah.
In our pick'em, right? Like our championship, I picked you guys to win.
Let me check. Yep, the whole planet did.
Whole planet,
yeah.
Nobody saw it coming.
Checking my notes. Yep, the whole planet picked.
No question.
So, you know what? Did you guys find something? Maybe. I think it's division rivalry, right? I mean, look at Cleveland just beat Pittsburgh. Is Cleveland a better football team than the Steelers? No, they're not. But division rivalries.
But, can we just say proper football weather for Thursday night football? What a
proper football weather, especially for Cleveland and Pittsburgh. That was awesome. That was awesome to watch.
Right? If you could get a weather
game,
if you could get a weather sort of forecast for that game, that was it, right? I mean, amazing visuals. But yeah, I mean, as you say, Jay, divisional games are always arm wrestles. Divisional games are always kind of two teams who don't like each other, know each other very well, so they always lighten up. But
and it almost feels like just watching. We've talked about this ad nauseum. It feels like the last couple of weeks. It just feels like the Niners team. What we're watching, it's almost like they've given up. It's almost like they're waiting for somebody to come in or come help or whatever. I don't know. But it's just not the Niners we're accustomed to seeing the last 3, 4, 5 years.
I think that way this week. Now that everybody's not going to,
I got a list of people who had not on the plane is insane. It's just like wow. But I think you're right. It has felt like it's been a season of waiting. Of hey, it'll be okay once we get
when
to
Christian gets back.
When Christian's back, or when Dre's back, or when we get to the bye, or when we get over this hump, or when. And it's just like, at some point, you've got to realize it's just not going to happen, or you can't keep waiting for this spark to come from somewhere, because it's got to come from within. You got to put the effort in, you got to work it, you got to get back to basics. And it does seem, we just started talking about just before we jumped on live, and it seemed a good thing to talk about the emotional drain or the hangover. The Super Bowl hangover is a thing that everyone talks about from people who win it. And, the Chiefs aren't really suffering too much. But from the other side, it does seem like a lot of the guys who were there 2 years ago and there a couple of years before, they just haven't re-upped, if you like. They're just not at the races. And Jay, you were saying, the reports coming out of preseason were that they just seemed flat. They didn't seem recovered. They didn't seem back at it compared to the reports of other sort of training camps.
Yeah, I was just kind of repeating what I heard Manti Te'o say on, it was Good Morning Football, I think, just juxtaposing the 49ers preseason, how they looked, and the Seahawks, how they looked, super amped, super together, team. And then look how they came out the gates. I mean, they looked awesome.
They're absolutely flying. Yeah.
Where San Fran, you're right, where we're just kind of waiting, and that never happened. But with those other teams, especially with Kansas City, just real quick, I feel like that leadership has to be strong, tight, and focused, right? It's very hard to manage that many egos for this long, right?
Yeah.
Andy Reid, what ego does he really have to manage over in Kansas City? Maybe there's a reason why they don't have a lot of superstars, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
right.
and
And it
all
helps
those
that Steve
egos.
Spagnuolo doesn't want a better job. Steve
That's what.
Spagnuolo has reached his ceiling. He's like, I'm happy being DC. I don't need to go off and be a head coach anywhere because we've gone through defensive coordinators like a knife through butter in the last few years, and they've all gone off and
If
done
you're winning
things.
rings all the time, it's hard to want to leave, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, but I mean, again, managing egos. That's why I thought that Mike Tomlin should have got the Nobel Peace Prize when he managed Le'Veon Bell, Ben Roethlisberger, and
Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown. Those three egos alone, he managed them and managed them very well. Like give the man something.
Yeah, he needs to get some flowers
it's
for that.
very hard. So, I
maybe we are. We talked about how star-studded the Niners are, but maybe what comes with that star-studded approach is star-studded egos, and you've got a lot of them. And if they're not all aligned or pulling their weight or slightly feeling off, did the Ayuk, extended contract negotiations play a part? Everyone else was getting like little extensions here and there, and it was all the big names that were getting it. Has that filtered down? Maybe it's like all the big stars are getting their money.
It doesn't help that your best guys aren't having good years either, though.
Yeah,
like they're having uncharacteristic drops. Like there's elements of their game that are kind of coming up short. So even though they are kind of waiting for people, there's always that cliche, a next man up. It's like, well, I mean, if you guys are going to have a season, it better be next man up this week.
If there's ever a next man up game, it's this one, right?
Yep.
But at the same time, we're being Chicken Little, sky is falling, the roof is caving in as we speak, right? You guys are one game out. Come on, I mean, again,
we're not winning today.
Yeah, we're not winning today. We're 2 down.
Well, really 2.5 because if you go by division,
with the divisional games,
right?
Yeah, we need to kind of.
But there's a lot of football to be played, right?
Yeah.
You never
a
know.
A lot of things have to go our way.
Brandon Allen might come out slinging the rock today. Who knows? Jordan Love might throw 4 picks. You never know. All we can guarantee is
the second half of that is
Seahawks.
probably more likely, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Today.
I think the second half of Jordan Love throwing 4 is more likely than Brandon Allen lighting the place up. I mean, hell, we're being touted as Danny Dimes' next location to stop off at. I mean, that's how bad the world is in Niner land. Oh, get Danny Dimes; he'll be perfect for us.
Oh, you got to be kidding me!
I saw that.
That's what I'm thinking. Hey, Chad, thanks for jumping in, man. This is crazy.
I hadn't heard the Danny Dimes angle yet.
Oh,
that is
terrible. Apparently he'd be great. It would be good for him. It'd be good for us because he's Shanahan-esque type mobile QB, and it's like, oh, just please. And then of course, not only is it the ex-New York Giants QB who's somehow rumbling, you should come to the Niners. Now, of course, it's like, well, if Brock Purdy's shoulder's bad and they put him on IR for the rest of the season, why don't we go and get Aaron Rodgers to the end of the season? It's like, what is wrong with people? What is wrong with people?
He's not going to be like. Are you not watching the games? Like the man doesn't have it. He's done.
You know what? Not only as a Seahawks fan, but just as a football analyst, I want that to happen.
I mean, if I could go and move him myself.
Right? I mean, the dumpster fire that would ensue would be amazing.
Absolutely.
I love it. It would be car crash TV.
Think of how many people he'd get fired too.
Oh yeah,
everybody fired, and you're fired, and you're fired.
Carl Shanahan's fired. Lynch is fired. Every coordinator is fired. It would literally be like the old. It would be horrid.
Yeah, no, like he would be Oprah handing out pink slips.
Everybody
gets a pink slip.
Everybody starts again. Insane takes in social media.
That'd be fantastic.
But anyway, as you say,
I think show all summer based on that.
Oh yeah, just that would be it. We could just do Aaron Rodgers, the Aaron Rodgers in the dark.
The Rodgers watch. Yeah.
Chad, I'm no good at, but I would suggest you don't go anywhere near starting any Niners.
I would stay away from that for sure.
I would stay away from Tyler Lockett as well. Jalen Waddle is probably your best bet there, especially against Tennessee.
Well, Tennessee has a fantastic defense, though.
Is it Tennessee Miami are playing?
Tennessee is the number 1 ranked defense. They got a really good pass ranked defense too.
Whereas
Tyler Lockett's historically has played the Cardinals very well. Him and Gino have a little connection. when they play the Cardinals. So I like Tyler the most today. I know Jackson Smith-Njigba has been playing lights off this year, but Tyler Lockett's the one that kind of keeps me
sneaks
up at
under the
night.
radar almost,
Yeah.
doesn't he? Especially for you. As you say, he always plays you hard. So
Yep.
let's get into your guys' game then. How are you both feeling going into it, Bo?
Oh,
You know,
what? They're playing the Patriots.
oh, there you go. My
That's
You know
a
what?
great
I
defense
take
too.
Waddle. I take Waddle.
yeah, I take Waddle.
Yeah, I would take
Only
Waddle.
because Gino has really been dialing it up for JSN. Tyler hasn't gotten tons of catches. So since they're playing the Patriots, I would take Waddle in that scenario. That being said, Lockett's going to go off for a big game just randomly.
Yeah.
Because I said
I
that.
hope you're wrong.
You hope you're wrong. And that being said, Ricky Pearsall will score 4 TDs from Brandon Allen, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
Why not?
Come on now. Anyway, so let's get into the proper game of the week. How are you feeling, boys?
It's
You must be
gonna
flying after last week, though, Bo, or are you still in that sort of slightly pessimistic, slightly keeping your feet on the ground type thing?
No, I mean, nothing made our offensive line better from last week. So I'm not out here thinking they're lighting anything up, but I really like this game. They match up very well, and not just because it's a divisional game. Like the things that the Cards do well go against things that the Seahawks do well. The only thing that I worry about on defense is Kyler running, because they're not going to have an answer for that. But everything else, actually, they kind of pair up fairly well. And I mean, it's a reason that the line on this game is 1 point. I mean,
Which is bizarre, right?
I don't know.
I think, yeah, no, I feel all week I've it's really been a roller coaster all week. I've been very, very confident until yesterday. And yesterday, the old Arizona Cardinal fanship snuck in, and I got really nervous.
Oh no!
And I was talking to my son all day yesterday about, man, I feel really nervous about tomorrow's game. I don't know why. You know, and you know what? And then I thought of something, and I fell asleep last night very comfortably, soundly confident, and I woke up feeling great. And that's something I thought of was the Seahawks have to deal with what Bo said. They have to deal with Kyler Murray. Kyler said something in the beginning of the season that kind of took me a second to kind of unwrap. It was a simple saying, but it kind of took a while to really see it. And he said, I think we were probably 2-4. It was before that, but we weren't doing very well. And Kyler said, I just need to have the ball more.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It's like touch the ball.
We're seeing with that
every offensive snap.
Yeah, I know. Right? Like you test the ball every. What are you talking about, right?
Nah, he's calling his own number is what he means.
Yeah, exactly. So what he's saying is he needs to take control of these games instead of just letting the games play out. Where I feel like he's the most athletic person on the field most of the time, but he would let these games play out instead of putting his imprint on the game. He's putting his imprint on the game, and it's a joy to watch. So, I think James Conner is going to have a huge day. I think you guys have a very hard time stopping the run. James Conner runs the ball very, very well, averages just under 7 yards a game. He's going to be fired up. 2 weeks of rest. I mean, he's sitting in a cage somewhere just being like fed raw steak. Can't wait to get out. I think you're going to have a hard time, and I think that's going to open up everything. Trey McBride, I feel as confident as I can, being a Cardinal fan, about this game. As you see, I put Seahawk beat down for my name today. So, that's what I think. And, I feel very good. I think Gino, you know what? The thing about the Seahawks is what's your identity? I mean, maybe I should ask you, Gary, outside looking in, what is the Seahawks identity?
Yeah, that's a tough one, right? Because you think,
but what would you say the Seahawks identity? Because that's what I think the problem that with the Seahawks, like you want to get behind them and and it's like, what's your identity? What are you guys going for here? What are the Niners have a clear.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know why it is, but what their identity really is a high flying passing attack is what it is. Now
Yeah.
they don't have the line to really support it. The fact that Geno only has 11 interceptions based on how much he's running for his life is amazing.
Sacked 32 times on the year for over 200 yards. That's two football field. 32 sacks. Kyler's been sacked 15 times.
Exactly. And those are the times he actually got caught. Like he's been one of the most hurried quarterbacks in the league.
He gets out of pressure all the time.
Oh, I mean, almost every play. And it's hilarious because, you know, you have parts of our fan base that are like, we have to get rid of Geno. I'm like, for what? Like, what are you getting? So let's pretend you get rid of him. What, you think Sam Howell's the guy? He had a better line and threw 30 interceptions last year. Like, what are you talking about? And then, you know, then who's your other option? Like, who are you going to go get? Nobody, right? It's not like you're going to go get a good draft pick. There's 2 reasonable quarterbacks in this draft. And there's still like 5 2-win teams. Like, you have no chance at a high draft pick. So, I mean, the fan base just cracks me up because it's like, you guys just absolutely putting nonsense out there because you have Geno is a very good quarterback. Like, he's not elite.
Absolutely.
You know, that's the thing that is also funny. They're like, well, he's no Patrick Mahomes. It's like, yeah, there's 31 other teams that don't have Patrick Mahomes. Like, what are we talking about right now?
Well, statistically, Patrick Mahomes is very middle of the road statistically.
But this year he's mid. He's like,
I mean, it's designed to be a high flying pass attack is kind of what the identity is there, and then use the running game. Unfortunately, they can't open running lanes for our running backs. But you got to remember, our offensive coordinator was the one for UW, right? And I mean, they threw the ball everywhere, right? Like that. I mean, they lit up the yardage last year on their way to the national championship. So I mean, that's just what Grubb does. And so we have the personnel to do it. We don't have the protection to do it.
Right.
So that's the biggest thing.
Yeah,
and then
the plan is there, but you just need the bodies to up skills so you can become a high flying sort of passing offense.
For sure. Well, and we also have a problem with the defense is still trying to figure itself out. We got a lot of guys that are on 1-year deals. They've moved guys around. They've kicked guys out of the building. Like it's been this ever evolving unit. So for them to not be top notch isn't a huge shock, right? Because you just got personnel coming and going all throughout the season here. I did expect a little bit better defense out of McDonald, right? Like just more continuity. That being said, if they can duplicate the fact that they didn't lead the league in penalties last week, if they can do that again, that's huge.
Yeah, that'd be nice for you. Yeah.
Yeah. I just have a hard time saying what kind of identity the Seahawks are going for. And, you know, it's kind of clear with the Niners. I think it's clear with us. We want to be a team that runs the ball, you know, throws the ball off the run, plays strong, violent defense. You know, not saying we're there yet, but that's at least our identity, what we're going for. Where I just feel like they're putting so much. It's almost like Buffalo. They're putting so much on. Buffalo puts so much on Josh Allen. They're putting so much on Geno, and you know it's like, man, Geno can't do everything. And I'm with you, man. I think Geno's a very good quarterback. You know, and I did not think that when he came to Seattle. But just watching him play, like, man, this guy. You know, interceptions are higher this year than I'm sure he would like, but look at his passing yards, yards per game. What more can you ask from the guy? You know. But you're right. Everybody else needs to do their job. The other 52 need to do their job. So, no, but I'm excited about the matchup. I can't wait. And I think it's going to be a violent game.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think
it's going to be
great. It's going to be another
I can't wait.
All NFC West divisional game.
I know.
2 teams going at it. The added.
I want to hit somebody right now.
I think the added spice with the Niners being so disjointed, if you like, it's the surprise flip round, you know, upside down division. You know, even at the beginning we thought it would be Niners, Rams, Seahawks, Cardinals, you know, and here we are, completely the opposite. You know, so the added spice that this now brings to you these games where you've got, you know, these games can define, potentially playoff positions, seedings, etc. It changes the visibility, it changes the spotlight on these games from it's a divisional game to suddenly it's a playoff contention divisional game. And suddenly that ramps up the whole bit, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Hey, when the season started, I said 7 to 9 wins. 7, 8-ish. If we get 9, man, Jonathan Gannon coached his butt off. And now I'm like, if we don't get 10, I don't see how we don't get 10 wins. So you're right, man. It's just that's why they play the game. I tell my son that all the time. That's why they play the game. And anything could happen. Brandon Allen could walk into Lambeau and light it on fire. Who knows?
Well, it's the only way it's going
It's funny
to work, right? Because it's frozen, so it needs to be lit on fire to make a game.
Yeah, right. No, it's funny though, because if the Niners drop today and the Rams do, right, because they're playing the Eagles.
They're playing the Eagles on Monday night, right?
Say the Seahawks win, all of a sudden you start getting separation in the division.
Yeah, because that puts both of you guys on 6 and 4,
6 and 5. Yeah.
6 and 5, whereas we'd be.
Yeah. And then you'd be 2 and 2 in the division. We'd be 2 and 1, so we'd have the tiebreaker.
Yep.
But yeah, he's right. That's starting to create a little bit of separation.
Because I would.
I
floated it out 2 games back.
Yeah.
And then if we won, the same thing, kind of even more separation.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh. Ouch! I mean, I'm not sure about the please not. I mean, I'm not sure of that middle. I'm not sure of that middle sentence, but that's Robert just throwing down a little bit of smack talk there. Whew. I mean, I get you want to go in as underdogs as Seahawks, but I mean, I think it's safe to say that a couple of years ago, he's probably got a point about laughing stock and you guys being pretty poor in the NFC West. I think we've talked about this.
You go back.
Your
to back
process
years
is built in.
Teams. Yeah. Yeah, we
we
just had a season where we won 1 game. We went an entire calendar year not winning a home game. It was awful. He's right. Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Is all of our franchises have had that.
We've all had that. We've all had those periods, though, right? It's like Jim Tomsula, Chip Kelly years. Yeah, thank you. We've had those. You've had those. The Rams after winning the Super Bowl. It was like
I was thinking about that the other day, though. It for me, it didn't. Even the 2005 Super Bowl that Seattle went to, I didn't see the Seahawks fans that I did when Russell Wilson stepped on the scene and took you guys to those levels. Then all of a sudden, every tree hugger Seahawks fan came out of the woodwork, no deodorant on, like the jersey they just bought. It's like, come on,
still crazy.
You still got the price tag on it, like
that was the thing. Right. We went to that first one in 2005, and it was our fan base, right, that was supporting the team. It wasn't a bunch of bandwagon. And then Wilson gets on the scene, and there was like an insane amount of bandwagon type of people arrived.
Oh, and,
it's frustrating. It's frustrating, especially now, because we're having an issue with a lot of those people are season ticket owners now. And they're all just selling their tickets to opposing fans. So we're starting to not have the presence here.
And you've always had that. You've always had that. Lumen Stadium's
we even had it in the Kingdom. So it's not like it was unique to Lumen Field, right? Like we've always had that home field advantage, noise and all of that. And
most false starts in the league, at Lumen Field,
I mean, we used to get penalties, in the 80s because if the crowd was too loud, they'd give you a flag. And so I'm glad that went away. But it, so I mean, it was always a thing here. And now, having gone to a couple of games here, it's just like, I don't like the split that I'm seeing in our stadium.
Yeah, no, I can say the exact same thing as a Cardinal fan. It's very frustrating. To see that, you never know. Is it going to be a Cardinal home game or is it going to be? Well, it never is when we play the Niners. It's always a Niners home game for the Niners. But
doesn't matter where it is. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I get it. But yeah, I've been a season ticket holder for 22 years now, and I never had to worry about when we played the Seahawks. Like it was going to be a pro Cardinal, crowd. And then when Russell Wilson came on the scene, it was like, where did all these fans come from? Like, I didn't know there was that many trees like in Arizona. So yeah, it was crazy. So yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, we talked about you've talked about it briefly there. We might as well talk on the Rams. I mean, because Sam's not kind of dropped the ball here, but yeah, that looks like a tough matchup for them. Got the Eagles coming in. Eagles look like they in the opposite to the Niners. They've found their gear. They're rolling now. They took a while to get going.
Well,
At the beginning.
and speaking of no home field advantage, SoFi has no home field advantage at all.
At all.
For either of the
So, I mean,
teams there.
yeah, no, that'll be an Eagles home game for sure. Like when they pan around, it's going to be nothing but Eagles.
Just green.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So and that's true for either LA team, right? It's not unique to the Rams. The Chargers have no fans either. You know, it's.
I mean, that's what you get for
There's just too much to do in LA.
teams in, right? There's
Yeah, there's just too much to do in LA. They literally have two of every franchise, and if one of them isn't doing good, you can go to a different game or whatever, and then. If those aren't working out, you're still in LA. So like you're still in
the beach and Hollywood and everything else to go to as well.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, I mean, it's a tough market for teams, but I mean, obviously transposing teams in there from St. Louis or bringing them up from San Diego and stuff is never. I know the Rams have bounced back and forth to LA for a while, but they always don't seem to be the home team. But I mean, what can you do in that market, as you say, when they've got two of absolutely everything?
Yeah,
you're fighting.
I mean,
you're fighting
even their Super Bowl run, they weren't the home team in their own stadium most of the time. Like your team is hosting playoff games, the other team has more people in the stands. Like it's wild.
Bizarre.
Yeah,
but the Rams are interesting because they do have their players back. They do seem to be getting fitter. Some of their players and some of their so they've got an offense that can probably fight with any sort of team. I just don't think on defense they've got
their biggest thing is they have no depth. So as soon as a guy gets nicked up, it's a wrap, right?
Well, no depth and consistency, right? Because some teams have that next man up mentality. We definitely have that here in Arizona. I mean, we don't have a ton of talent on either side of the ball. A little bit more on offense.
It's the drop off from the ones to the twos that I'm talking about. Is they even if they have the mentality of next man up, they don't necessarily have the skill guys because they couldn't afford them, right? Like they got rid of a lot of their depth,
right? No,
and so that's where you end up with these issues.
Yeah.
Is when Kupp went down, when Puka went down, it's a wildly different team because you just didn't have guys behind it. And so, they're relatively healthy, but I mean, that you're always one play away from that not being the thing. And their lack of depth, I think, is what buries this team, especially as we go down the stretch here.
I would say consistency too. They have a hard time consistently putting a product together. I mean, they rank 20th in almost every or below in like every offensive category except throwing the ball. And see, that's where I kind of have an issue. And the Seahawks, the Geno Smith too. It's like when you see a team that's hovering about 500, but they have high passing numbers. Well, that tells me they're playing from behind a lot, and they got quarterbacks like Geno Smith, like Stafford, who can throw the rock, right, and can get those yardage. But again, I think they're going to have their hands full today. This should be an easy game for the Eagles. The Eagles, are playing really well. But we talked about this last week about Philly and how they're looking at.
They're winning in spite of their coach. Like their coach has made a bunch of really kind of bonehead decisions, but they're winning anyway. The defense has slowly come on to be one of the better defenses in the league, and the offense is overcoming questionable play calls on fourth down and forever.
Well, here's their last six W's, and you guys tell me if this is a playoff team or not. The Cleveland Browns. Is that a playoff team?
I mean, no, but they have enough talent to come up and get anybody, though.
Yeah,
just off the Steelers.
It was in Philly. Then they played the Giants. The Giants a playoff team.
Definitely.
Then they played the Bengals. Bengals have the talent on offense side of the ball. They just can't stop anybody. Then they beat Jacksonville. Jacksonville really. Trevor Lawrence, I want my money back.
What is going on in Jacksonville?
Then they beat the
Generational talent.
Dallas Cowboys, who hasn't
Well, we
beat the Dallas Cowboys,
Yeah.
right?
joke of organization.
And then they beat the Redskins. Now that's
a win.
that is a win. However, I'm going to put a little asterisk underneath that or beside it and say, is this Cliff?
Mm.
Cliff always starts out 7-0. Cliff always starts out strong, and then the second half of the season
falls apart. Yeah,
shits the bed.
Yeah, no, I mean,
you're not every single year.
A week ago,
a reporter asked him that this week, and he goes, "I don't know what you're referring to. What are you talking about?" Cliff, every single year of your entire life that you've been coaching starts great and ends poorly. Like,
if he can't see it, then that's a real very bad.
He's going to be the first coordinator or head coach that gets signed the contract to be a head coach or coordinator for half the season. Hey, we want you to be our coordinator for the first 7 games of the season, then we're going to call in somebody else. Like, it's going to be an amazing contract. It's going to be very unique. It's like Kyler's video game clause, right, or studying clause, right? So I say that to say this. The Eagles, they do look well, right? What we're seeing, Saquon Barkley's jumping over people backwards, and Jalen Hurts is pushing 1 yards for a touchdown. I get it. They're not really beating much right now. And the problem with that is you start to play some really good teams in December and January. Okay. And you know, those teams aren't the Giants. Those teams aren't Jacksonville. You know, those are solid teams. So when you're used to playing cupcake teams in November, December, and then you get, you know, popped in the mouth by a team that knows what they're doing, right? The Lions.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll see though. But yeah, that should be an easy win for Philly today.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, you guys will talk about the practice squad that's flying up to Lambeau. You took Brandon Allen, as you say. I think we should run a lot. I mean, you've got to lean heavily on the running backs. Do we get to see it? As I say, do we get to see a bit more of Mason, maybe Garendo, maybe share it around a bit? Because I've got a feeling we're gonna. I saw a stat where I think I saw that Brandon Allen has thrown 44 passes in the last 4 seasons.
Is the sound messed up on my end, or?
Yeah, no, I hear it too from Gary.
Okay. I was like, man, I'm only catching every other word. I was like, is my signal just that bad because I'm in the middle of ripping my office apart? Or
yeah, no.
Look like you were all looking slightly confused. Bear with me 2 seconds.
Well, I always look like that, so.
Well, I mean, that's a standard sort of.
It's just my look.
Approach when I'm talking. Yeah.
So if people have resting bitch face, I have resting confused face. You're like, Jason, did your screen freeze? Nope.
Just have no idea what we're talking about.
All right, let's try that then. Can you hear me better now?
Oh
yes.
Yeah.
Much better. Okay, good.
I don't think it's going to be as bad as you guys all think. I do think Green Bay. I would put money on Green Bay, and I did today to win the game. But I really don't think, because I think Allen's going to be forced to give the ball to CMC, give the ball to Jordan Mason, give the ball to his tight ends, throw those short routes. You might see Debo out of the backfield today, some jet sweeps or something. So, getting back to what they did so well the previous years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that defense rallying.
I didn't mean it was going to be a blowout or anything.
I just needed them to score 5.5 in the first. I bet them to score 5.5 in the first half.
Now we know what the deal is.
Now we know
Trying to hit that parlay.
Moody just scored 2 field goals, and that'll make Jason happy. I see.
Yes.
That's about as much as we can hope for. No, I think you're right. We will be run heavy. I don't think. My concern is we don't start trying to use Debo as that jet sweep constantly, because that, I think, as Seahawks showed last week, people are ready for it. It's not a gadget play anymore. Everyone knows if Debo does that sort of motion where he goes in and loops back round, guess what's going to happen? He's going to toss the ball to him. He's going to be a Debo sweep. Everyone can see it happening. All defenses have kind of wisened up to it. They have to go the opposite.
Remember those old school walkie-talkies when we were kids?
Yeah. You heard like every 6th word. Yeah, I know that's scary right now.
Yeah.
We're just shaking our head like we couldn't hear anything.
I was just waiting for the over.
Yeah, over. Beep. You know what? But no. To his point, you kind of have to do that though. You have to do those jet sweeps, and you have because that brings the defense in, and then hopefully that air opens up someone downfield. So you know what? Hey, Brandon Allen's an NFL quarterback. You know, caliber quarterback. Hopefully, right? And hey, we'll see today. The Packers don't lose many games in Lambeau this late in the season, but
Exactly. But it's not that
no,
cold yet, right? Like
no,
it's not December ball yet.
their record in December is ridiculous, but yeah, it's still November 24th. It's November.
Yeah. So I mean, you might get some snow flurries, but it's not like the snow games,
The
right?
tundra, yeah.
So it's in theory it should be a competitive game. Like I'm with you there. I just think Green Bay, because they have the bulk of their guys on the field, I think is going to be the difference in this.
Yeah, and again, what Jordan Love are we going to get today? So I think it has a chance to be closer than everybody thinks.
Well, they're not going to
And
get the pressure that they normally would, right? Because Bosa's not there. If I remember right, they're also missing a couple of linebackers. So there's like 18 people on their injury report. It's crazy.
really,
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah, no, like it's kind of amazing. So if we look at it, let's see, we got so Purdy's out, Chavarius Ward is out, cornerback.
that's a good one.
Defensive tackle Kevin Givens is out, Bosa's out, Trent Williams is questionable, and then just a litany of guys on IR. But so I mean, they have some very real pieces that didn't get on the airplane, and so that's why I think they're going to be outmatched personnel wise, and then it's an away game. So I think this is going to be one of those where you're right, it's going to be close, right? Like this is probably going to be a running attack, but I think they're just going to come up short based on not having the complement of people.
I think it could be a one-score game. I mean, everything you said. I mean, the thing is, they have so much talent on that roster. Even if you did take away 3 or 4 of the bright, shiny stars, they still have a ton. Okay.
Oh yeah.
You know, whether you like to admit it or not, San Fran's just loaded on both sides of the football. So it's just about them playing together and playing cohesively as a unit. And like you always say about the depth, right? Can that next guy coming up, what's that drop off going to be? And can he fill in? So, yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's what we're going to see out of the quarterback, right? We're gonna see if he's that guy or not.
You might be calling for Daniel Jones in the second half. Who knows?
Yeah, things are really coming off the rails if you're calling for Daniel Jones.
Absolutely. In any stage of life, if Daniel Jones is the answer, the question was stupid. So, yeah.
Exactly. At some point, you're just like, you know what? I guess this year's not our year.
Yeah. And you know what? I feel bad for him too, man. You want to like the guy. He seems like such a doofus. One of those like means well, but just kind of knocks everything over. Kind of like Eli Manning, but without the talent, right? Like
so, when he's clean shaven, and once I say this, you'll never be able to unsee it. But remember that comic Dragon's Lair, right? With the doofy kind of goofy guy that's always trying to save the princess. They have that like weird long face. If you put a picture of them together, it's the same dude.
They're identical. Doesn't he have a butt chin?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was funny. I happened to see like an old comic thing go across my screen. I'm like, wait a minute.
That's Daniel Jones. He already got a new job. Wow. That was fast.
Yeah, no, it was pretty priceless.
Poor Gary's having all kind of technical difficulties over there.
I mean, that he's getting ready for the kind of day that his Niners are about to have.
Yeah.
He showed up.
Yeah, kind of.
Not quite there.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's bowing out.
And it's over in the third quarter. How about that?
this show is a microcosm of the Niner games today. You're right. You're absolutely right. So I'm just looking forward to our matchup, man. For some reason, I circled this matchup when the season started. I could not wait to play Seattle.
And we get to do it twice in 3 weeks too.
Yeah.
So I mean, like it's like this one's going to be a battle, but the next one is really going to be right because you're going to only be two games off, and you know whatever worked in this one will not work in 2 weeks.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'm looking forward. Hey, that's what. Side note. That's why I think maybe, possibly, Andy Reid. They might have lost the Bills last week on purpose.
Oh, for sure, right? Yeah.
You know, like, hey, Andy does this, right?
Schedule a loss.
Belichick used to do this. I feel like too. He would like, I'll win the war, but I'll lose this battle. But I'm going to win the whole thing. So he's just so good at that, not having an ego, and I don't have to win every single game, and not showing much. I'm going to see these guys in the playoffs, so what does it matter? So
and I mean, it gets some of the pressure off the team, gets some of not being perfect, and all of those things.
Sure.
That being said, it was probably the most flawed, undefeated team going into that game.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, they weren't playing good football on offense. Their defense has been playing lights out, no question. But the offense was very, very average, right?
At best.
And should have lost probably 3 other games that just had lucky calls or whatever come down and change the game for them.
Right.
But, I mean, and the Bills have, excuse me, the Bills have beat KC regular season before. So, I mean, it's not like something we haven't seen before. But the playoffs, that becomes a different animal. So we'll see.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
and I hope the Bills can do it because I'd prefer not to see a three-peat. But I mean, they've already run 3 out of the last 4. Let's let someone else play with some rings.
Somebody else win. Yeah, give someone else a turn. But back our matchup, I feel like it's going to be dynamite. Like you said, we play each other twice in 3 weeks, so it's going to be fun. December 8th, my birthday is December 5th. So I told my wife, I'm like, you're definitely going with me to that game December 5th. Because I want to be able to have a drink.
That's fair.
I usually have my son, so. But great game. I'm sure we're going to do some smack talking a little bit. And hey, we'll see. But I was just doing some research before the show. I was just amazed to see that Gino sacked 32 times this year for over 200 yards. I'm like, all I see Gino do is get out of pressure, avoid sacks, run for his life. Like, I feel like I'm watching Russell. He's much taller than Russell Wilson, but it's like, man, that's what Russell did, right? So yeah.
Well, and it's funny. Unfortunately, I don't have these numbers in front of me since half of my office is here and half of it's where it's moving over to. But he's top in the top end of getting sacked, but he was second in pressures. He's third in quarterback hurries. I mean, the amount of yards that he has. With all of that happening, he has the shortest required time of release, right? So he's getting I think it was 2.3 or 2.5 seconds to release the ball.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, that is ridiculous. It is hard to be successful. And then to have been leading the league in yardage for most of the season is crazy to me when you figure how much he's been running around.
Yep.
We still can't hear you, Gary.
Gary's like, I give up.
Watching the Niners take 2 L's today.
For the first time ever, the team takes 2 losses in one day. Well, boys, on that note, on Gary's note, hey, let's enjoy today.
Yep.
And may the Cardinals win.
Yeah, I disagree with all of that. Yeah, but Except the let's have fun today. Like I'm definitely with that part, but a Hawks win would be awesome, especially if the Rams and the Niners also lose, because then that creates some very real distance in the division here.
Yeah.
Especially going down the stretch where
we only have 6 games remaining.
Well, and
you have tough. Yeah. Well, we don't. We play the Patriots. We play the Panthers. We have a softer schedule. Sorry, Gary. We play the Niners. We play the Rams. So, we don't have a super tough schedule.
We play 3 out of the 4 out of the North.
Okay.
So
our hardest remaining is the Vikings.
Yes. Well, Green Bay is going to not be an easy out, right? So we have Green Bay, we have the Vikings.
No, our remaining.
Oh, you're remaining. Gotcha.
Yeah, is the Vikings.
Yeah, we actually have a pretty tough end to our season.
Yeah. So, you almost, I mean, you need every win, but you guys really need this W today because it doesn't get easier. I mean, this might be the easiest team. And we're playing great right now, but this might be one of the easier teams you're facing.
So we have, if we go, can you pop this up for me real quick? There we go. So the Jets will be our easiest one because that team has basically given up. But the rest of the way is brutal.
Well, a Bears game. I think the Bears might have given up too.
Yeah, except it's in Chicago. So, it'll be
December 7th,
cold.
December 20th, day after Christmas. Yeah,
that's a game that, because of the elements, might go either way. But the Jets game, I mean, they clearly have given up. It sounds like Rodgers now wants out. Devontae Adams has to be mad.
Pissed, absolutely pissed. He goes from Green Bay to the Raiders because of Carr. Carr gets shipped out. Now he's like, you know what? I want to be reunited with Rodgers. Rodgers is horrible. Now Rodgers wants out, and he's got to be like, you're kidding me. I can't win. At least I have a Taco Bell in my house, right? At least he has a Taco Bell in his house. Isn't that cool?
I mean, it's a good thing because that's where he's going to be watching the playoffs.
Man, yeah. Yep. Yeah, he has got to be furious.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's funny because I really thought he was going to try and go down to the Saints and pair back up with Carr, right?
Yeah.
He had his best season ever with the Raiders, right? With Carr. So, I mean, that would have made sense. And especially because of how much shit he talked about Rodgers when he first left, right? And so it almost makes you wonder if that was like a slow play to just bury Devontae Adams from Rodgers.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you wanted to talk and tell me how Derek Carr is a better Hall of Famer than me? He's like, okay.
Right.
Why don't you come to the Jets? Oh, yeah, and I'm leaving.
Hey, real quick, before we sign off, I'm going to get your take on this. I asked my son this week, he asked me actually, rank the NFC West quarterbacks in order. So, of course, I had to go Kyler Murray 1. I just still have the talent, top to bottom, arms, legs, everything.
Sure.
I went Kyler, Matthew Stafford, Geno, and then Brock. No disrespect to Brock. I think we have a very talented quarterback NFC West grouping.
So
but he was confused about the Matthew Stafford pick because he would have put Matthew Stafford like last. So I really had to educate him about Matthew Stafford, about Calvin Johnson. Now Calvin Johnson has the most receiving yards in a season, and Cooper Kupp has the most receptions in a season. And he was like, yeah, he knows who Cooper Kupp is. Had no idea who Calvin Johnson is. I said, all you know about Calvin Johnson was he's a bad man. Okay, that man's first ballot Hall of Famer, hands down, doesn't matter.
And think of the numbers.
The quarterback for both of those receivers, the quarterback for both of those receivers, son, was Matthew Stafford. So put some respect on his name. When you say Matthew Stafford, that's Super Bowl winning Matthew Stafford. That makes everybody else elite.
Well, and when you think of Megatron, it was funny because you look at the numbers his first 2 years, and that wasn't with Stafford. That was with Orlovsky and who was the guy that was just after him? I mean, not exactly dudes lighting it up, right?
Dan Orlovsky could fling the. No, I can't even say that was.
No, you can't. Come on.
I tried.
My sound's been bad, but I mean, that's bad. That's terrible. That's a bad take.
You're gonna come back for that.
I'm glad I heard that one. Wow.
Yeah, there's no credibility in the show.
So how would you rank? So how would you rank them?
Actually, exactly the way you did.
Yep.
Because you're talking about talent of today, right? You're not talking past talent. So yeah, I would go Murray, Stafford, Geno, Purdy, and not to take anything away from Purdy, right? Like he does
not
exactly
at all.
what it is they require him to do, and
does it at a high level.
Geno is playing amazing for running for his life. But
Absolutely.
You can't dispute Stafford's arm talent. All this guy does is throw for 4,000 yards every year of his career.
Yeah.
I mean,
the Bears would bite their arm off for that. They haven't had one of those since 1920, whatever.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, no, I mean, all he does is get out of his car, show up to the facility, throw for 4,500 yards and like 30 touchdowns. Like every year.
His poor mother, like she gave birth to a baby with a cannon. Like that's gotta hurt.
I mean, man, he just came out like that, just like
just like wow, turn on, like man, the recovery time. Think about it. I hope that was a C-section.
You have to put Murray first now, right? Because now
talent and athleticism. Yeah,
the decision making with the athletic ability that he had. And so, because you could always be like, oh, hyper athletic can, run around and do all the things, right? But it was decision making before. You're just like, man, what are you doing? And now we're seeing him make the decision making to pair with all that athleticism. You're like, oh, okay, like he's the real deal now.
Yeah, yep. He's maturing now. He's learning.
Exactly.
This is what you needed.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I agree. But nice little talk I had with my son this week about Matthew Stafford. It was awesome.
It's nice when you bring that, and there's been so much talk this, everyone's like, oh, we should bin this season off. This is terrible. Fire Kyle and all that sort of stuff. And everyone's like, oh, I remember the Tom Sula years. It's like, it's nice to sometimes look back on where situations and remind people of some of the greats of the game, as you're talking about Megatron and places like that, and then also some of, like, as you say, all of our franchises have been through situations of just sheer debacle, and it's just like you don't want to get up on a Sunday. So it's the cyclical nature of the NFL, isn't it? It's what makes the team, what makes this league great, which is why we watch it, because it's not always just the dynasty at the top. I know there's been, the Patriots have done well with free agency and keeping things there, and the Chiefs seem to have done it, but that eventually is going to kind of break, and it's actually, other teams, because of the draft and the way that's capped and everything else, just means that.
And there's always just weird things, right? Like, I mean, I remember when Levi Stadium opened, you guys couldn't win a game there.
It was just like, well, it wasn't Candlestick and nobody wanted to be there, and it was horrible. It
was awesome. Well, other teams wanted to be there.
Yeah, everyone came in. It's like, hey, come over for a free, holiday. Come over for a long weekend, take a win home with you, type thing. You get a win. Back to that pink flip sort of thing, right?
Yeah,
that's an interesting one. I didn't see that one. What? Where's that come from? Jags aren't trading Lawrence, surely. I mean,
Eric, that's not even a hot take.
Man, what are you smoking? That is not ever going to happen, nor do you want it to happen. That guy fumbles the ball without getting touched. We had Rick Myers.
Guy's more he's got too much hair product in. I think that's the problem, right? He can't hold the ball because his hair product's getting in the way. That's not even a hot take. That's just a.
How old is Geno?
Geno's 35.
35, is he?
Okay, so he's got a couple of years left. It's not like he's declining. I don't see any decline, or he's obviously very mobile.
No, he had a decade off. He should have.
No, I mean, he rode the bench for 10 years.
He's
nice.
He's in his 50s.
Yeah.
That shoulder's to be fine.
No one on these tires at all.
Kick the tires. They're still brand new. It's like, he's got years on him. Yeah, but it's.
Oh, he read it as a headline. Eric,
that's clickbait. That's clickbait. That's clickbait. Right away, that one. Yeah. But I mean, I was reading something everyone's saying in
the NFL memery or like
something. Yeah, one of those. I remember one of those things that you think it's Adam Schefter and then you realize it's Adam Shell. And you're like, oh, got me again. It got me. Oh, damn it, got me again.
I hate that.
I hate but you're so quick. You're just like, oh my god, you repost it and then you read it and you go, oh no, I've done it
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, no, you got to be super careful with that.
Super careful.
Yeah.
Now you got to watch everything. It's got a blue tick. Must be real. That's the worst thing now.
Yes.
Anyway, that's bad. Anyway, Sunday we've gone. It's rolled around. You guys have spoken for an hour. I've managed to duck in and out 35 minutes. What else could you hope for, right? It's indicative of the season. I'm expecting us to come and there's talk next week. We'll be talking about, do the 49ers IR those people who are banged up and dinged, and do we put the season down to just not happening? Blood the rest of the guys. Put your starters on IR. Get them out of there. If Purdy's shoulder isn't great, is it worth him potentially risking more damage, etc.? Because I think, we're going to real struggle to get anything out of Green Bay, and then we've got the Bills.
Get blown out.
I don't think we get blown out. Yeah.
Well, no, I'm just saying, if you do somehow, I think that's where you may put it to bed, right? Like if it's hyper competitive and it's right there, you probably don't, because you're like, you know what? Like, we were right there with our backups. Like, we still got something here. But if Green Bay just like runs the train on you, then you're probably like, oh, you know what? Our Jimmys and Joes may not be that good behind our starters.
I think, what I'm concerned is if it's like the playoff game last year where the Packers came in and just blew us out for a half. I don't think we've got the bodies to get back into it.
Sure.
And then it's just like, then I think it's like, okay, pack up, boys.
Well, Brandon Allen's not going to win a game like that. I don't see Brandon Allen winning
you're
that
not
game.
Because if you're chasing games like that, you know how quickly Kyle gets away from the run game when we're behind by 3 points, let alone if we're behind by 10 or 14.
We realize you've never thrown a ball in a game, but you were going to sling it 50 times.
50 times everywhere. Nobody's expecting it, so go out there and sling the rock.
Here's the deal, and this might make you want to jump off the top of your house, but if let's say you play a close game today, let's say you even squeak out a W, right? I mean, there's some people out there. Well, there's no one out there that thinks that, but not even Kyle.
Not looking at any of us talking heads. I'm just seeing Green Bay everywhere.
You got to go to Buffalo next week.
Yeah, and we've still got the Lions on the schedule. We still, everyone's saying if we go 5-2 in the last 7 games, we might make it. And I was like, we got the Packers, we got the Bills, and we got the Lions.
You're not going to go 5-2.
Get out there. We might go 3-4 if we're lucky.
Yeah.
All right. To be honest, the way we've been playing and the way the teams that we're coming up against, I can't 4-3. But if we get to, I doubt that's possible. We'll probably lose today. I think we probably lose at Buffalo. And there's no way anyone's derailing the Lions.
4-3 still gets you to 9 wins, and I don't think 9 wins is
that's not going to get us in.
Yeah.
Not with the divisional record, not with everything else. I mean, I think you've got to win this division to get into the playoffs. I don't think this is going to have too well. I don't think this is a 2 playoff.
There's too many other good teams in the NFC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean like from our division, the only one going is the division winner.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
I think you'll get the division winner of us, division winner of the South, division winner of the North, obviously. You may get,
but the North is going to send 2.
2, at least 2 from the North, right? I
sure.
can imagine. Maybe
and
even 3.
The East will send 2.
Yeah, they'll get the Commanders and the Eagles, I think. And that's your playoff teams. There's no way that 2 of our divisions getting into the playoffs the way we've beaten each other up, the way neither team has kind of elevated themselves.
Well,
because the North will send 3.
Yeah, that's what I think. All 3 of those North teams are going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Well, the East could be surprising because you guys didn't get a front row view of Cliff. Right.
East is sending 2. There's only 2 teams in the East. You're not saying that you're not saying the Cowboys or the Giants are making it.
Oh, absolutely not. But what I'm saying is this is not a foregone conclusion that Washington's going anywhere. Number 1.
Yeah, we're talking to Cliff. Yeah.
Yeah. We're talking about Cliff Kingsbury. We saw him for a couple years over here. We know exactly what he does the second half of the season.
Yeah,
Washington right now is sitting in that 7th seed. You know who's sitting in the 8th, 9th, and 10th seed? The Rams, the Seahawks, and the Niners.
But
all you need is for the Redskins the hiccup.
So, except they play the Cowboys twice still.
Yeah, so there's 2 wins.
Right. They play the Saints
Or the Aints.
They play the Falcons, who
Oof.
can't consistently play football, right? And then
Oh, got the Panthers in there
and
as
then
well,
the
haven't
Eagles, right? So
Yeah.
the Eagles are
You
the
guys
only
are
like, legit team
forgetting.
there.
You guys are forgetting Cliff Kingsbury's second half record. It's like it's
they?
legit.
You think
I
the
didn't
Cliff?
believe it until I saw it, and then I saw it
agree.
firsthand for years.
I even agree with it, but I mean, the Cowboys don't have a quarterback,
Cowboys don't have a hope.
so that's probably 2 wins. Even if they don't play well, they probably beat the Cowboys twice, right? The
Okay.
Saints,
Hell, we could beat the Cowboys twice right now.
no, exactly. The Saints look like they've kind of thrown it in.
They've packed up and they've packed
In-
up. That's a
in
team that's packed up.
In New Orleans, I say they beat Tennessee. You think they beat Tennessee?
Tennessee, yes, because they are starting Will Levis,
Yeah.
so
Mr.
they'll
Mayo's
beat
back.
Tennessee.
So they got 6 games remaining. I'm still seeing. I see 3-3.
I bet they win 4. I bet they lose to the Eagles, and then it may be the Falcons randomly have a good day.
Okay, if they go 4-2, you're right. But again, Cliff.
Cliff. But then again, is Cliff enough to overset it? Much like I think Harbaugh is big enough.
I saw it for years. So yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it this way, though. Even if they go 3-3, that puts them 10-7. That still puts them in the playoffs.
Still better than any divisional record that we win. Yeah.
I mean, they have unless the Commanders just fall apart, they're in. So you're going to have the Eagles, Commanders go. You'll have whoever wins our division go. You'll have Lions, Vikings, Packers go, and then for all intents and purposes, looks like it'll be the Falcons. So that's
All the Bucks.
You just unless Washington falls apart, okay? Has the Cliff Kingsbury coach team ever fallen apart in the second half of the season?
I know, but we're talking about.
But they've still got the count. Yeah, even if the team falls apart and Cliff falls apart, they've still got to play the Cowboys twice, and
that's true.
Even
that's
without,
true. Like they have a really easy path for 10 wins.
Yeah,
right? Like they have to play 500 ball and lose to bad teams.
This reminds me of that 2021 start when we started out 7-2 and then 8-2 or 10-2 and then just stumbled down and then we crawled into the playoffs. Kyler Murray's ankle hurt, DeAndre Hopkins hurt, and then the Rams just punished us, just stomped us.
We watched the Eagles do it last year, right? They went 10-1 and then completely fell apart, backed into the playoffs, got smoked. Or
absolutely,
it was awful.
It was great because it was after we went into their. It was after we went into Philly and beat them up and got Big Dom fired and whatever else, and then they just literally imploded.
Well, and last year the Jags, right? They were 8-3 and then found a way to miss the playoffs in a division that is super easy to win.
Should have been.
But you guys are getting Trevor Lawrence. Please.
Yay.
Please.
No,
please take Trevor Lawrence. Just to add, we'll take Aaron Jones, you take Trevor Lawrence. Come on. We'll take Aaron Rodgers, you take Trevor Lawrence. Come on.
We're just trying to destroy this whole division.
Yeah, just tear the division down.
I would love that.
You'd be sitting pretty then. Yeah.
I'm game.
Go for it. My boys.
If we're making those dumpster moves, you're trading Kyler also.
No way.
Yeah, Kyler's going and you're picking up Zach Wilson on a flyer.
Jay, absolutely not. Daniel Jones is not coming to Seattle either.
No. Daniel Jones is going nowhere near the NFC West.
Absolutely.
I say that. No, I'll be in next week going, well, so 49ers have signed Daniel Jones. Yeah.
The practice squad, yeah.
Yeah, he's got the practice squad. And Brandon Allen's gone down. Oh, and Josh Jobs has gone down. And Purdy's got a tough shoulder. Oh, why not, right? Anyway, boys, go and enjoy Sunday. Go and enjoy the football.
Yes.
Love you guys. I'll catch you next week.
Yes, sir.
Take it easy, guys.
Take it easy, guys. Bye for now.
Good luck, Bo.
You too.